But everyone understands that the values in New York City are socially liberal or pro-abortion or pro-gay marriage, focus around money and the media.
A controversial New York Daily News cover story telling the GOP candidate to just go back to Canada if he doesn't like New York. Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton demanded an apology following Cruz's remarks, and Cruz obliged. But now Cruz is under fire again. According to Bloomberg News, Houston lawyer Newton Boris Schwartz is suing the Texas senator over a constitutional requirement that candidates must be natural-born citizens of the U.S. The lawsuit seeks a court definition to clarify if Cruz can or cannot run. Now Cruz's eligibility to run for president has been the hot topic on the campaign trail the past couple of weeks, with fellow GOP candidate Donald Trump taking aim at his citizenship repeatedly. So what does it all mean for Cruz's campaign, and will this impact tonight's Democratic debate? That's our topic this half hour. We want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page. You can also weigh in on Twitter. Use the hashtag Fox26forlife. Joining us live in the newsroom is our panel, led by our senior legal analyst Chris Tridico, our news analyst Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst Jackie Valley. All right, a lot to talk about, guys. Do you want to start with Cruz?
Yeah, let's start with Cruz. And this debate that we're having right now with the birther issue and the New York values issue playing right into Donald Trump's hand. Donald Trump wanted to have a debate about whether or not Ted Cruz was qualified under the Constitution to be president. Ted Cruz gave him the New York values argument as a gift. Quite frankly, and it's blowing up and playing right into Donald Trump's hands. Let me say, like I've said before, I think at the end of the day, when it becomes ripe, and I don't think Newton Schwartz's lawsuit is ripe yet, but when it becomes ripe, I think the U.S. Supreme Court says that that Ted Cruz is qualified because he was born to an American citizen. And quite frankly, my research indicates that the very first Naturalization Act passed by the new Congress in the late 1700s said that if you're born to an American citizen, you will be, quote, considered, close quote, a natural-born citizen. So I think that comes to him. But, Jackie, that doesn't help him today. He doesn't want to have this issue. He threw that New York values thing out there, and it's coming back to haunt him.
Well, I told Ted last week, I said, you know that you're the front runner when everyone's taking aim. And we saw that in the debate. He ruled the debate. He did very well. And Ted is going to stay focused on the issues that matter most to voters, which is immigration, defense. We've seen various polls that have been out there. The issues that are truly what concerns voters, that's what you're going to see Ted continue to talk about. The fact that Donald Trump is now swiping attacks and attacking Ted just proves that Donald is looking at the same polls that all of us are looking at. Ted is leading in Iowa. He's leading in New Hampshire. He's probably going to be our nominee, and that's why you're seeing all of these swipes. He is eligible to run. I agree with your interpretation. The courts will find that he's eligible to run, and there's a very good chance he's going to be our presidential nominee.
And for full disclosure, you are supporting Ted Cruz in the race, and you're working on his campaign.
Of course.
All right. What do you think about this? I mean, this really, Donald Trump played this pretty masterfully to get both of these issues in front of the people.
Yeah, and look, I think the argument that Donald Trump is making is an effective one, in that he's saying, I don't really have an opinion whether he can be or can't be, but what if he can? What if he becomes the nominee and then there's a lawsuit filed by the Democrats that disqualifies him? That ire of putting it out there in front of Republican primary voters to saying, if you really want to beat Hillary Clinton, what if Ted Cruz is disqualified? What would you do then? And I think that's what Donald Trump's going after. People start voting in Iowa, in caucuses in February 1, just a couple of weeks away. People start voting in Texas February 16. Early voting starts then, election is March 1. So these lawsuits will not be settled by that, but these lawsuits will be hanging on top of it.
He's not the nominee, so I think Newton Schwartz's lawsuit has to be dismissed because he's not the nominee. And when and if he wins the nomination, then it becomes ripe.
Well, not only nominations, he's likely to be, he has to be first elected to the presidency in order for that, for somebody to challenge him.
All right, we're going to see. Let me go to Sally. She's monitoring our social media.
Well, we actually don't have any social media right now, Chris Tritico, but
nobody told me.
Hey, that's okay. Nobody's written to us, but hey, if you have a comment, be sure to use the hashtag Fox26for Life, and we'll pull it up and get it on the screen at least next week. Anyway, we love hearing from comments from our viewers. We'll send it back to you guys so you can talk about the Democratic debate tonight.
And that's where we were headed anyway. Bernie Sanders, I discounted him. Everybody discounted him. He's now leading in Iowa. He's closing rapidly on Hillary. I think at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton still wins the nomination. But this is turning into a real race.
I think everyone's been so focused on Donald Trump that we've been ignoring the real race, which is the Democrat Party. This is the second time that Hillary is seeing her lead erode.
Yeah, it's deja vu.
She now has a wider gap with Bernie Sanders than she did with Obama the same time in 2008. And she's probably thinking, okay, history cannot repeat itself. I love the fact that the Democrat primary voters are saying we want a socialist to be our nominee, because that really tells us a lot about that party.
John Kasich said after the Republican debate last week that if Bernie Sanders wins, the GOP will win every primary.
Now, look, the things that he's talking about are resonating with the Republican. That's why he's doing well. But the reason why people are focused on the Republican primary is because there's 17 candidates that started in the Republican primary, and you have a personality like Donald Trump. So if Bernie Sanders represents the Democratic viewpoint, then Donald Trump represents the Republican viewpoint, and I would take that any day of the week.
How does a guy, Bernie Sanders is considered to be the outsider. He's been in politics longer than everybody on both sides.
Well, he's been talking about the same issues for 40 years, right? He's been talking about this income divide. Right. He's been talking about things that people care about. But at the end of the day, Hillary Clinton is ahead in this game. Both
we got to leave
it. Bernie Sanders is the best gift to the GOP party. Love it.
We got to leave it right there.